Welcome, the fourth and final part in this mini-series of The Opinion Piece. My name's Andy Stevens, going to be the host for the last episode with Kevin Hollinrake MP for Thirsk and Malton. As we said before, a decade in the role, although I've noticed no gold watch as yet. Kevin, moving this great industry forward. Obviously your history with Hunters, 30 years ago was it you started?
Yeah, we started in 1982.
Yeah, so an estate agent that started and now grown to a big national company. How do we move construction forwards? We've got a brilliant industry with wonderful people, skilled, ambitious, determined. We've got issues we've talked about previously, but do we need a brand change? Do we need to make it sexy for kids? Or do we need more money to get these apprenticeships? Which again, we talked about with the 600 million coming in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of all those things. You know, there's, I think I can see how with some quarters, technical kind of education, vocational opportunities, engineering, apprenticeships, all those things, they kind of fell out of favour, coming back into favour, which is a good thing. You pointed out in an earlier episode how much people can make in this sector. And you can make that far more quickly by being somebody good on the tools, being able to get there and do a job, than you will starting off as a trainee in an office and working your way through. So, and we need those people. And the ready supply of kind of immigrant labour is going to be less readily available in the future. Yeah. So lots of opportunities. It's a wealth of things that could exploit those opportunities. Modern methods of construction, for example, where you're not working in the cold and the wet and all that kind of stuff. You have manufacturing processes which are far more akin to people being trained up quickly. Lots of opportunities in the future in terms of the move from the green transition or to heat pumps and retrofits, all this kind of stuff. So the industry is going to expand hugely, both in terms of increased levels of house building and in terms of refitting our own stock. I mean, we've got the oldest housing stock in Europe in the UK. Yeah. But 85% of that stock will still be here in 2050 when we're supposed to get to net zero. So all that stuff has got to be fixed. So a wealth of opportunities, and opportunities suit most, I think, is innovation, which comes from smaller businesses as well. So, we do send that message to young people that, going on a vocational route, a technical route for education is not a poor relation to academic route. In fact, it's more so.
That's the key thing. And I think my poor lad, bless him, he's 11. I think he's got my genes. He doesn't concentrate on things unless he's really into it. He can drive a mini digger better than me. Gospel truth. He can point up. He can put scratch coats on. He doesn't enjoy school. Every day, have a school, mate. Boring.
Yeah.
But when he comes to work with me in the evenings or weekends, he's a different kid.
Yeah.
And my personal view is, you're either going to, I say in the talks, we either work with these or with that. So the vocational kids that are better with their hands, chef, mechanic, tradesperson, nurse, should that be spotted early on in school and say, right, there's no point in you going to university, no disrespect, because you're not going to come out with, a first in medicine. But rather than waste your 3 years on some degree, get 85 grand in debt, what would you like to do? What really appeals to you? And then focus, as you say, on a vocational career, because a 3-year apprenticeship, a decent apprenticeship. Yeah. And sorry, I'm going to give this as an example. Past a guy I work, can't help it, with the missus, going to get something to eat where she lives in Winchester. Road shut, gas workers. Told them what I was doing to build network. Great, you want to speak to this lad? He was 19. He's on £60,000 a year. Just bought his first house, 2 holidays a year. His missus just bought a new car. His boss said, give him 2 years, he can be running his own gang on 6 figures.
Yeah.
Need we say more?
No, you don't. Although we do need to say more to the young people who are thinking to make those choices.
How to do that? Is it schools?
Yes. Yeah. A lot of the time it is. And parents as well. So, but parents are I'm not sure what I want my career, the careers advisors at school spending too much time with their kids. I appreciate have that conversation with them myself. You understand, you say, yeah, you do know them better. And it's my responsibility, to help, hopefully nudge them in the right direction. But when I go to, be it the construction skills village in Scarborough or to some of the engineering, there was a lot of advanced engineering actually in Thirsk and Malton. I go and talk to these young people and doing apprenticeships and loving it. A bit like your son loves what he does when he's working with you. you see, I always ask them, where do you find out about this apprenticeship or this training course? And invariably, it's my uncle. It's it's somebody my dad knows. It's somebody that kind of stuff. Yeah. But it's never the school. And what I think the schools, the way schools are, it is a bit of a conveyor belt, and they're probably incentivized through the Ofsted process to send those kids, as many as possible, into further education, academic education, rather than into engineering, into construction, lots of other things. And they're missing an opportunity. And so we need to make sure that the whole skills thing and education system is more responsive to the needs of business and the opportunities that young people can afford themselves from.
Do you think there's an element, and there's a lot less of this up north, I think down south is worse, an element of a class problem? Now, the reason I say that, I worked out in Australia in the mid-90s labouring, and that was tough. 42 degrees of heat, no plant, but it was really, really tough, but I really enjoyed it. However, big thing to me, I was also doing evening work. I was working as a doorman and barman in a nightclub, and I walked through Sydney, down George Street, past ANZ Bank on the left, and there were these fairly senior guys, probably 60s, obviously top level, beautiful suits, and they came down the stairs, and the bin lorry was there, and they had a chat for 10 minutes about the footy at the weekend. And I thought, because when I'm covered in sand and cement where it is, you do get picked. We've got a lot more of that here than we have. I mean, Germany, a friend of mine went there as a plasterer. He was heralded on the same level as solicitors and doctors. Have we got a bit of a class thing here?
Yeah, I think we probably have. I mean, I think we moved away from being a manufacturing economy some decades ago into being, and we're all seeing, well, that's the Chinese because they can do it much cheaper, and the Far East and stuff, to be this service economy. So I think we made a mistake. I think we recognise a mistake now, and that's all tied to technical education. And Germany use an example. They're intergenerational businesses. Engineers are lauded, a vital part of the system, which is why they've got such a strong manufacturing base. So it doesn't mean we can't move the dial on it. It doesn't mean we can't do stuff. And I run an apprenticeship fair every year, and we have a number of people from both construction and engineering at that fair. And I see parents with children come to that, and they're really, really keen to make sure their children make the right choices. And I don't see those parents as being ones that are saying, oh my God, I don't want them talking to one of the people who was likely to take them down a vocational technical route here. I think more and more people should be proud of that. And more the technical skills you need as an electrician, for example, Sparky, are not just about laying a bit of cable. You're doing Cat5 cabling, you're doing wireless, you're doing Wi-Fi, you do, again, as a heating engineer, you're putting in heat pumps, so all kinds of things that mean that quality of individual and quality of training needs to be better and better and better. So
we're sitting in a beautiful building. There's Big Ben, just there. People spend fortunes travelling all over the world to come take pictures of it and see, we built these with our hands.
Yeah.
I don't understand as an industry, as a trade / build, why are we more proud?
No.
You look at the Cotswolds, you look at your drywalling in Yorkshire.
Oh, beautiful.
I mean, I've worked up there. I just, at the end of the day, you step back and go, I've done that.
Yeah. I agree with you. And I think this feeds back into something we said in an earlier episode, which is around SMEs as well. Because I think you get that pride more in SME than you do in a big company. If you're building identity houses for a big house builder, well, I would think people would have more pride in building. It could still be an estate, but it could be a nice stone build. It can be unique design, proper pan tiles, lots of things like that, where SMEs tend to be more a kind of bigger range of potential jobs they are on, but also in terms of if they're building an estate, it's probably more interesting to look at and live in than the typical identikit house you get from a volume house builder.
Finished on a Friday, we call the big house builders.
Yeah, okay.
So, final question. I really enjoyed this, but I will put you in your seat just for the moment. We did ask your opposite, Angela Raynor, to join us. She refused. If you were sitting in her seat now, what are the 3 things you would do to improve our great industry of construction?
Okay, I think the most important thing is making sure there is a good pipeline of jobs to go to. You want to make sure the industry is growing. And so her biggest job is to make sure that those house building numbers come on track. And the biggest issue behind that is actually not reforming the planning system as they're doing it, is resourcing the planning system. You've got to make sure there's enough planners actually to make decisions on projects.
Their backlog is huge.
Exactly. So you need to resource it properly. I don't think they've got that right yet. So that's one important thing she's got to do. I think she's got to make sure the conveyor belt of people with the right level of skills, and that's a combination of skills training, which we've talked about, but also making sure people just don't exit the world of work into the world of benefits, because that's a pretty sad place, I think.
What's the problem?
And I think the final thing I'd say is just extolling the virtues of the sector. We talked before about the reputation in some quarters of the sector. Are we telling people it employs more than 3 million people and is 9% of our economy? Are we telling people it's that important? Are we telling people that it's the route to a good job for many young people who have those kind of skills and innate skills? So there's more we can do in terms of making sure people recognise the importance of the sector, both in terms of individual opportunities, but also its beneficial effect to the wider economy.
Finally, a couple of viewers' questions. Sorry, that was my question. A couple of viewers' questions on this. Again, I am very open with you. As you send it in, I'll read it out. This is a roofer, wants to remain nameless. Why is Angela Raynor the Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing Communities when she has absolutely no experience in construction?
Yeah, you better ask Keir Starmer that one. I'm sure there's some politics in there somewhere. I mean, it's not unique to Labour government, that's the case, but I think it's more unique in this government than other governments. I mean, so none of the current cabinet has ever started or built a business. And there's a paucity of business experience, industry experience generally within politics, but I think more so this one. So, to be fair to Angela, I do have a bit of time for her. She's got some decent people as her ministers. I'm not here to just run her down to try and score some political points. We're going to try and work with her to make sure she understands some of the things we need to do and fixes some stuff, and makes the whole situation much easier to make the construction world have a prosperous future. And one of the things we haven't talked about, which to give you an example of that, is the building safety regulator.
Oh yeah, crikey!
I mean, this is causing this huge bottleneck.
Yeah.
In terms of the system, I'm very happy to work with Angela Raynor and one of the ministers, Alex Norris, to say, okay, we've got some ideas how we basically open that bottleneck up and make sure I think there's some of the 25,000 housing plots stuck in the building regulator with the Health and Safety Executive. So, we're happy to, with some industry experience, people like yourself, sector, ourselves, say, okay, let's find some solutions to this, and hopefully, despite a lack of industry experience, we can make some positive changes.
One of the ones is obviously building control.
Yeah.
Because that's this. I think it's going to change again from what I've heard. Yeah, I missed one out because that can't be asked. Final one. All they've said is, please refer to me as an industry worker. Should government-backed groups such as the CLC be independent and have paid roles, not relying on volunteers?
Okay, interesting. Happy to look at it. Not been suggested to me before. The attraction with volunteers is you've got people. I get the pressures on time, which we discussed in an earlier episode. But you've got people, hopefully, if they're for the right reasons, and not just doing it because they pick up a check. It's interesting because people think,
they don't get paid.
I know, but I think that he was suggesting that they did, wasn't he?
No, I was just thinking, should they be paid?
Oh, yeah, that's
because
right.
I think it would be just some experience, and what I've seen, it looks great on platforms like LinkedIn. But I think in a non-formal business, there's no objectives, there's no sort of stringent penalties. So if things aren't put in place over a period of time, nobody really
Yes.
is accountable.
Okay. Well, I can say, there's plenty of quangos in this country with very well-paid chief executives who don't deliver on their priorities either. So just paying somebody isn't necessarily this, everything from the FCA to the Environment Agency. So it's not unique. But yes, I'm always happy to look at how we can improve the system, and it's certainly a body of work we've got, is to look at some of these technical areas about how we just open up the entire sector to more work and make sure that people see the opportunities as that work comes on stream.
Kevin, thank you.
Pleasure, Andy.
I very much appreciate your time.
Yeah, likewise.
And no doubt we'll be in touch soon. Thank you for watching. If you've got any more questions, I'm sure that we're going to be speaking with Kevin again. Please send them in across all of our platforms. And thank you very much for watching this brilliant 4-part series.